Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Arbuckle. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to share with you guys some tips and tricks for building fast on the console like Ninja and Myth do on PC. A lot of people make videos like this and they beat around the bush and give bogus tips and say things that don't really necessarily matter when it comes to your gameplay. And today I just wanted to make a helpful video, share with you guys the core 3 tips that you need to know to be able to build fast on the console, whether it be the Xbox or the PlayStation. No BS. We're going to jump right into it. So the first tip that I have for you is to play on a higher sensitivity. Anything over 9 is too high. Anything under 6 is too low. Some of you may be able to squeak in 5, but anything under that, it's ridiculous. There's no point in running it. If you're an average player, you're someone that's just been used to playing on the low sensitivity, you may think that you're building very quickly, but in reality, if you switch up to 9 sensitivity, which is the max that you should go to, you'll notice a huge difference. Now, if you're playing on a low sensitivity, I don't recommend that you just rapidly jump up to 9. Let's say, for example, you play on 4. Jumping to 9 is a terrible idea. Although you might be able to build quicker, obviously, it's going to throw off your aim because you're not used to playing on a sensitivity like that. It's just like first-person shooters, just playing Call of Duty. I used to throw my sensitivities back and forth all the time, and it really throws you off, especially if you're used to playing on the same sensitivity for a long time. So gradually increase. I would say 9 is the highest you go. I personally believe that with 9, you're able to spin around as quick as you can and build all 4 walls. Whereas if you're playing on 10, you're actually going to miss a wall or miss 2, or you're going to throw off your building. So I wouldn't recommend going above 9, but 9 is definitely a really awesome sensitivity to have, the highest that you can go. I personally play on 7, sometimes 6. 7 is probably the sweet spot because I like to focus more on my aim than building. And on 9 sensitivity, it's just my aim is horrible. So the higher the sensitivity I have, the worse I am when it comes to aiming. So I try to stay a little bit lower to focus on my aim. But again, anywhere between really 6 and 9 is going to be the sweet spot, preferably 7 or 9 if you can get all the way up there. But again, don't rapidly change your sensitivity. It will throw you off a lot, and it's not really worth it. So gradually increase and get to that spot that you want to be at. The second tip is muscle memory of selections. That's when it comes to walls, floors, and ramps, and sometimes ceilings, depending on what you're trying to build. So truly, when it comes to building, muscle memory is everything, especially on the PC. When you watch those guys play, when they have the keyboard cam showing them hit the buttons 100 miles an hour, it's all muscle memory. They think in their head, you know, all right, floor, they know the button instantly. It's muscle memory. The more you do it, obviously, the better you get. It's just like anything else in the world. Playing a sport, muscle memory. So it's a little bit more difficult on a controller, whereas you have to move your hands around a lot more, whereas on the PC, you kind of have your fingers around the buttons already. But with the controller, it's much more difficult, where I'm going to use Xbox, for example, because that's what I play on. An example of muscle memory on the Xbox is I play on standard, which is against the third tip that I'm going to give you. The reason for that, I only have one hand, so I'm not able to use the left bumper as often as I would. So using Combat Pro isn't really necessarily helpful for me. But because I play on standard, I have to press Y to switch between walls, ramps, and floors, whatever. So muscle memory is to know that when you're on like a ramp, you have to hit Y a few times to get back to the wall, or you have to hit Y a few times to get back to the ceiling. I believe when you're on a ramp, you have to press it 3 times to get back to floors. Whereas if you're playing Combat Pro, you only have to hit the left bumper, which again, like I said, I only have one hand, so that it's a lot slower for me to do that. But muscle memory is to know how many times to press Y to get back to a certain thing. So if I'm on the ramp and I know I have to get back to a wall, someone's pushing me, I want to build a wall, whatever, I have to press Y twice. So I have to memorize that. I have to know, all right, when I see a ramp, to get back to wall, press it twice. To get back to floor, press it 3 times. It's all muscle memory. So just play the game, practice building. Put yourselves in situations where you have to build. Do a lot of pushing, play solo, and push a lot of players, and that will force you to get really good at building, and even honestly just get better at the game. So muscle memory of the selections that you're using is key. The third and final tip that I have for you is kind of what I just touched on, and that's running Combat Pro. Again, I don't use Combat Pro because, again, I only have one hand, so it doesn't really, it's not an advantage for me. But the advantage for those of you with 2 hands is that all you have to do is go back and forth on the bumpers like on an Xbox controller, and you can switch back and forth. So if you're on the ramp, if you have the ramp open, all you have to do is hit the left bumper to go right back to floors. You don't have to press Y a bunch of times to get back to it. So Combat Pro is definitely the way to go. It sucks talking about it because I'm not personally able to run it. but it will help a lot of you guys out. If you're not used to it, it's one of those things, like I said, with the sensitivity, I recommend trying to change. You might suck at first, you might be not as good as you normally are, but once you get used to it, it's going to help you out a lot in the long run, and I think it'll make you a much better player. But anyway, guys, these are the tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you guys. No BS, the core tips that you need to know to be able to build fast like Ninja and Myth on the console. So if you guys have anything else to add, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. I'd be glad to hear. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.